The control. Here we go. January 5, 2014. My wife and I have been married for just shy of 9 years. We've been together for a little over 10. I am in the military, and while we were dating, I asked her to move with me to Italy. She did, and we got married and had a wonderful son. We later moved back to California. Job took us there, and we had a separation. It was really both of our faults. We just were not there for each other, more so on me, as the move for me wasn't easy and put a lot of stress on me, which affected the home life. She went back to Cali and lived with her mom and our son. We had some rough patches during the separation, but eventually, 7 to 8 months later, she called me and said she wanted to work things out, which we did. That was 2008. Fast forward to 2014. We now have 2 kids, a boy and girl. We are pretty much separated once again, but this time it is my almost entirely fault, granted lack of communication on her part. Over the years I had become emotionally abusive to her. Now I don't mean constant yelling and name-calling, but there was sometimes when I made her feel bad because she can't find a job, usually difficult for military spouses overseas. I also usually messed up on holidays, didn't do squat for her birthdays, anniversaries, or Mother's Day. Something in me snapped after she finally told me she was unhappy with our marriage back in November 2013. I knew that I had to change, for her and for me, for our marriage to work. Problem it was I did not know how to change, and it took a few weeks to happen, but I started to make the right moves. I made plans for V-Day, and our 9th year anniversary. As her birthday, she told me she wanted a divorce. I have worked to better myself greatly and made quite a bit of progress, probably to the point a normal spouse might give me a second chance. Problem is, part of what I have changed I can't prove to her because she won't let me. Dating, being a gentleman, that sort of thing. She needs to build her trust back up for me, but how am I supposed to do that when I have nothing to offer? She has all but said she wants me to stop trying and fighting to save our marriage. Over the past few months, I have tried to stay separate but friends. She wants as friends. But I can't do this. Every time we start to interact it turns into me saying something stupid, and it is pushing her away. Almost like I'm walking on eggshells holding a double-edged sword. I want to move out, but we would probably go broke. Also, she is now pretty much set on divorce. I'm not ashamed to say I have on several nights cried myself to sleep and even turned to praying to help me find the strength to either let her go or to continue trying. I have and will never hit her. It has all been verbal, emotional. I have to leave in hopes of giving her the time she needs, wants to hopefully want to work things out with me. Is it possible to live under the same roof and be separated? I'm currently kind of staying at a friend's house, but that is kind of awkward and want to come home and maybe have her move out like she said she could. I have tried the 180 rule a few times, but it never works out, as she has called me a few times asking me to help with the kids, or one time she called me to get mad about something and then we just hung up. It's been almost 4 months now and I am still failing at giving her time. I want to work things out so bad I find myself talking about it before I realize what I'm doing. I miss my kids and I miss my wife. She has finally agreed to try counseling, but she has told me all she sees at the end of the road is divorce. How can I expect her to go and have an open mind when she's hard set on the conclusion already? Over the last few months, I have tried to place myself in her shoes, meaning taking on as many of the responsibilities for which she has been doing for so many years. She's in that rut of always doing the same thing over and over. As a stay-at-home mom, she is set in a routine. I have tried my best to feel the pain that goes with those duties and not having much, any time to yourself. I have for the most part stopped being so negative towards her. In fact, I've actually been much more supportive of her when she's been sick. Went on a recent juice diet for a week. I was there every step of the way to support her. Basically, I have not been the husband she has known for the past 9 years. She even said herself after I gave her a gift for finishing the diet that it was unexpected and just not me. Something that kind of made me smile, as maybe she's seeing the better side of what I am doing, hoping it's making a difference. But she turns around and tells me that I don't have to do any of these things for her. Although I am not going to stop, it does kind of get old. Really, I think I am hopping in more direction on what I should be doing. I don't know if I'm doing anything right, wrong, if I should continue or stop altogether and call it quits. I'm not going to lie when I say I can keep this up. It is starting to drain me to the point of actual depression, not just the kind you get when the first mention of divorce. I actually feel down. I have no motivation to go to the gym, run, or now even take care of the house. Aside from the fact I have moved out, I don't think it's my responsibility anymore. But then I don't want my kids to live in a dirty house. Let me draw out a timeline. October, got a new job. I'm military, so it's different. That allows me a lot of off time for family, where previous job had me working 15-ish hours a day Monday to Friday. Hardly home with family, hardly saw kids' soccer or football games. Tired on the weekends, so we rarely went out, or they left me at home. November, wife says not happy. Same time I coincidentally figure it out and begin steps on my end to fix some of her routine stuff from being a stay-at-home mom. Doing the dishes, cleaning the house, taking the kids to, from school, that kind of stuff. December, nothing, although kind of sad. Christmas, wasn't much in the mood due to the situation from previous month. January, first week she says she wants divorce after I got mad about her 31st birthday tattoo. I wasn't mad at the tat. In fact, I even picked out the font. I got mad because she didn't let me go with her and I wanted to be there for it. February, month to myself to reflect on what in the past led us to this situation, giving myself most of the blame due to my abusive behavior, and by abusive, I mean not showing appreciation for the things she always did, sometimes getting mad over little things at home which were only brought on from things from work. I was mostly verbal, emotional, hard on my wife. March, still separated but under same roof, living on the couch on weekdays, and usually hotels, friends weekends or several days during the week. This actually pissed her off, which is funny. She tells me she needs her time alone from me to think about us and how I have changed for the better and if she can continue, but gets mad because I leave her with the kids by herself by going to a hotel during the week sometime. I work a midnight type shift, so it would actually be impossible to take the kids. I do, however, take them to school every day and usually pick them up. Another thing I have changed was better supporting her with her activities. During this month she did a juice diet for a week. Anyone who's gone through this understands. No food, or anything except for the 12 juices a day you get for a week straight. It's tough, but I told her she was strong to do it. Even some of her friends quit after the first and second day. My wife made it all the way through. What made it worse is this week her period hit, so it was living hell lol. When she drank her final juice, I gave her a flower and a wrapped gift, tell her I believed in her. Yes, it's silly, but something that melted her heart. Something she never expects from me, nor have I ever really done. April, I came home from living with friends, hotels, and told her that I was giving up on pursuing her, kind of doing the 180, and that we can't be friends like she wants. It was leading me in an emotional direction of constant pursing her and asking her to take me back. I also told her I was not going to try anymore. I will be here. She won't get anything from me and as little interaction as possible. Next day she said she would like to go to MC. Over the course of our separation from first week of Jan, I have gone way out of my way to try and show her I have changed. She has kind of acknowledged seeing it, but not really. I think she has realized, just a few days ago, that if she tells me the truth, I'm happier. Normally she would say stuff like I didn't want you to get mad, hurt, or sound mean. I'm a truth guy. Don't find kind excuses to not have us do something. She's going to a small concert down in London next week and staying the night in a hotel to wander the market square the next morning. Told her we can go as a fam as I want to go back to London as well. After a few minutes of her beating around the bush, she finally told me she wants the day to herself to think of us and not worry about the kids. She seemed surprised when I told her I was fine with that and wanted that as an answer instead of the cheap don't want to hurt you excuses she was giving me. So, we start marriage counseling tomorrow. Well, maybe have to find a sitter on short notice for the kids. It seems the school has a teach meeting day and there is no school. Crap. I'm not sure what all to expect from the counseling and have way too much to say. I know it can be a drawn-out process, but I just have so much I need to let out. I'm not even planning on this working now. I almost feel over the past few weeks that my heart for my wife has all but collapsed and I do not know if it can be mended. I don't even know what my response would be if she asked me right now to give us another chance. If I said yes, there is a lot of things which we would have to talk about. Things which would require a counselor anyway, or at the least a mediator, to help guide us on the process of recovery. If I may ask, what are some other people's experience with marriage counseling? So, I've recently, as of this week, discovered my wife might be seeing someone new. Again, she quickly saw and slept with someone shortly after we initially separated, and he dumped her within a month. I never actually gave permission for her to date nor sleep with anyone. She did ask me if she would be allowed to date to see what else is out there, and I had told her no, but I can't stop her. She just has to think about what she is doing and how it will affect me and our marriage should we are after what we went through when she dated someone a few months ago. She is now chatting with another guy. I wanted to know for sure, so I broke into her computer and discovered a crap ton of nude photos she's taking over the past several months, and a few nude ones of this new guy he sent her just the other day. She also sent a picture of the kid, 11 years younger than her, to her mom via Facebook. We've been in MC for about a month now, 2 good sessions, and 2 bad ones. I was told to basically stop trying so hard and give her the time she needs to open back up to me. I don't know what he said to her as he had to separate us for a bit. I am all about giving up. I can't take any more her secrecy and deceit. She hides her phone from me when I walk in, to which she also has password protected. About 2 weeks ago I walked into the bedroom, and somehow she didn't see nor hear me, and when I walked past she was startled and quickly covered her phone, of which I saw I think a picture of some guy, and she just laughed it off as nothing. When I asked if she was trading photos, she said no. I think I'd be less mad that she is sending pictures, but more mad that she never did that for me. I'm military and often in the past was gone and asked her for dirty photos, and never got any as she said she's really insecure about her body. The counselor keeps telling me to give her the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't know about any of this, and I think I might bring it up tomorrow at our next session. The only way I can give her the benefit of the doubt is to see her stuff, although I am pretty sure I know what I'll find. One of photos I saw of this new kid was a picture of his smaller than mine penis, with the caption, "I can't wait to use this tomorrow, today." I don't know how to bring any of this up. At first during our separation I tried to believe her, but now I'm just tired of this crap. I still don't want a divorce, but I'm tired of the games she's playing. When I tell her this, she says she's not playing games. She's too old for it. 31 in my eyes is not too old. Upon which she usually tells me to just think what I'm going to think, doesn't try to defend herself at all, which to me is another sign things are wrong. If you have to quickly hide something, nor defend yourself when asked the question, to me that's guilty. I just don't know what to do anymore and I have to put an end to this. Well, as some may or may not know, I'm in the military and now about to move off base. Basically, if a member gets a divorce, they can no longer reside in base housing. However, that is not the case yet. I wanted to move off base to a little closer to the kids' school and earn a little bit more money. Living on base is nice, but any bills you have ... you end up living paycheck to paycheck just like everyone else. Living off base allows me to put away a couple extra bucks. At first, I asked the wife to not move in with me as I wanted time to be away from her. Her lack of I just don't know is causing my rage issues to return. I can't handle when people don't say everything they mean and leave out important stuff. During counseling, she explained an event we had years ago. She left out an important detail which would have positively changed our vacation. I told her when she leaves stuff like that out it makes me rage, but she doesn't understand, care. I have found 4 different houses big enough for me and the kids when I have them ... She has found a small 2-bedroom apartment but has no way to support herself nor the kids, pay rent, and buy groceries. She wants this time alone also. I'm almost at the point of not caring how she fares out and not sure what I will do when she can't get a job and needs help. I'm not sure if I will cave and take her in, or if the time apart is all she needs to miss me as others have told me. I'm trying to do things on my own and plan for the kids, but to be honest, I'm just totally lost, don't know what to do and just going about this blindly, not caring what happens. Today at MC she got caught in a slip. Since we both decided to live apart for a while and see where things go, I do and don't care what she does on her own, you know. She has pretty much stated she wants me to not help her. She wants to try on her own, and if she fails ... she fails without my help, short of something affecting the kids. Well, today she told the MC I pretty much just want her to fail. Then at the end of the topic she states she just wants to try and make it on her own, and if she fails, she fails. I lost it, and finally the MC saw what I've been going through and understands. I'm done. I miss my wife, I love her, but now this crap can be someone else's problem. Now I just have to figure out what to do with my kids, keeping in mind I'm military, overseas, not as easy as most people think. Half a year later. It's now been a full year my wife and I have been separated and yet to divorce. I'm military stationed overseas and she doesn't want to return home, not because of me, but from friends she's made, and both kids are in a really good local school. I tried to move out a few months ago and she was supposed to find a small place for herself, but as usual she splurged what money she had on BS and ended up moving in with me. I've tried on countless occasions to give her time and space as she requested, but it never worked out to be more than just a few days at a time where I'd stay in a hotel. I've greatly improved who I was, yet still do struggle in some respects, such as my anger. Now I'm not talking anything violent, but things can set me off quite easily, but I've been going to a group to try and work on it. Most common mistake I've made is here and there we'd talk, something would spark the conversation in it, or I would lead it down the road of giving us a chance. We are great friends and the way we talk, treat and think of each other are no different than a married couple. Except the only thing missing with us is the marriage part and physical aspect, holding hands, kissing, sleeping together. I keep thinking there are things I can do to make it better, but I usually end up failing and it backfires in my face. I bought her a €200 bracelet a month ago and, although I don't care that much, she hasn't told anyone she received it from me, namely the people who know our situation. I have so much crap going through my head I can't tell what is up and down anymore. She has said several times it's over and she wants a divorce, but she hasn't even looked into step 1. I don't know if it's because doing so would void her visa and she'd have to head back to the States, or the more unlikely notion, she's not 100% sure she wants to divorce. She has said a few times maybe things can work, but then in the same conversation, she retracts the statement. I love her dearly and don't want to let go, not to mention our kids, but that's a given. And for me she is the most important thing in my life. I find myself looking at dating sites wondering if I should try to date since I know she has, not as revenge, jealous act. I find myself almost wanting just that feeling of someone enjoying being around me. Wife sends such messed up mixed signals. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with her, not knowing if my next comment or topic will lead to an argument. A lot of what I have been doing this last year are things I failed to do over the past 10 years. Treating her better, spending the right time with her, when I go away on assignment picking her up something nice. While I know losing her is crushing me, I have been away on assignments for up to a year long and been okay. It's more of the general feeling she gives me when we are together. I haven't been doing this thing where I'll do all of this if you take me, us back. What she has said in the past is she is afraid if it is ceasing if we were to reconcile. It's hard to explain, but at the same time I understand people get it. Another factor to consider is I am going to be stationed where I am now probably for the next 3 years, and if we divorce and she has to head back to the States, the kids have to go, thus leaving me without my family for 3 years. She's on a visa here based on my orders. With her not having a job or any kind of income, she is unable to find a place to move into. And that's part of the problem. She has been given several chances to separate from me, yet she is still here, on her own accord, mind you. I know I probably sound like typical fool who is going through denial. Quite the opposite actually. Since this has been going on for a year now, I have had the chance to sit back and reflect on everything. Mistakes I've made in attempts to win her back, things I've put myself through. I may sound like I am putting her above blame. Truth is, it's probably more her fault we are separated due to her lack of communication with me when we have issues arise. I do understand everything you guys are saying, trust me. At the same time, I see that already in myself and in the way I act. Although admittedly when her and I interact, sometimes all that goes out the window and I forget what is going on. Being military, I've had plenty of time where we have been apart. I had to live apart from her for a year while I was in Korea. I did just fine, so while I don't dispute the codependence issue, I don't believe that to be a real issue. For me, it's more of not wanting to lose my family. The way they make me a better person now than from before. While I know for a fact I'm kind of clingy with her, I know I would be able to part ways. Addiction to her is probably a very accurate term. While there is, I feel, a great deal of love on my part, I know there is also on hers. She has said one of the things she's scared about on working things out is us, me going back to the way I was before, being angry, not fulfilling promises made, and being kind of emotionally abusive, which goes back to the part of no communication on her about how she is feeling. I'm not going to sugarcoat it when I say I'm actually afraid, nervous to go back out and try dating. I think a big thing is I'm so used to married life, and her, how will I act around a new girl? I know I am not alone in that thought process, but it still makes me uneasy. I fear right off the bat I'd probably tell the new girl what is going on with me, that while I want to start anew, I have issues going on. I mean, how does one move on to someone new with different traits and features, quirks, and not actually make mistakes, sabotage the process because he doesn't see what he likes to do to things he misses from his wife? To add to this, I am by no means easy to live with, so when I say the blame is more on her, I am only referring to the lack of communication. I like to sit and talk things out almost right away where she doesn't. I would rather talk about it, get it off our chest, and into the air so we can put whatever issue behind us. I would get mad when she didn't want to talk and I would sometimes rage. Over the last year I've taken up running, more than I used to, so when we fought and I felt that rage, on go my trainers and out I went. 10 miles later I would return home hot and sweaty and apologize, after which we would usually be okay. Sometimes that wouldn't work and we'd not talk for a day or so, then a few words and then back to normal. I believe I have worked on the majority of my issues, and I have made progress. She is a good wife and deserves the best I can give her. She takes care of a lot of the things around the house, and in the past year I've endeavored to relieve some of that responsibility off her shoulders. While I want her around, the way she makes me feel, the physicality aspect of our relationship, I can be without her. Over the 11 years we've been together, I've probably lived 3 of them away, various assignments and deployments where I've lived on my own with no problems. When say clingy, it's more of the stuff I think I miss about what she used to do, how we sat on the couch, slept in the bed, and just in general always touched each other, I think. For example, my last tour to Korea back in 2011, I used that opus to get out of an assignment we didn't like living at, only to pick an assignment we both wanted, which ended us up in the UK. A lot of the things I do so she'll spend more time with me, and family time in general. I already know if I were single, no kids, I would more than likely be kind of a hermit. I would be content with staying at home or spending most of my time at work or the gym. I do a lot of the things I do because it makes my family happy, thus making me happy. I have used my time to think of the person I was when her and I met, and I have tried to bring him back. There have been moments, I think, which sparked her a little bit. For example, back in Oct, I took the family down into London for the Star Trek con. I had a great time and I asked her to come. I'm kind of the geek while she is the polar opposite. I wanted her to see all the people dressed up because I knew she'd get a kick out of it. She did, and after we got back, we had one of our talks, and in that talk, she said for a bit down there she thought she could stay and even have another kid with me. But she never alluded what that spark was. I have used my time to try and better myself for 2 reasons, myself, and to show her I'm worth it. I don't go out of my way to impress her, but rather just be myself and do little things here and there. Wash her car, take the kids from her to relax, straighten up the house when she leaves for a bit, etc. I don't plan on cheating at all. Over the last year I've had chances but never took and never will. I was raised better than that. At the same time, being military and living overseas, I cannot just move out and let her on her own. We have a responsibility to our spouse no matter our marital situation. Her having nowhere else to go, I could face charges for leaving her like that. Normal civilian marriages are very different compared to military marriages. Let's say you want to divorce your spouse, so you move out and leave her in the other house. You can do that, whereas I cannot. Not for the sake of a separation, but finances. We get paid a housing allowance for rent, and if I were to move, my allowance would change to that of the new house's rental agreement, thus leaving no one to pay for the old house which I had just left my wife in. Also, she is with me based on my orders, so her visa is tied to that. Should we get divorced, my orders would be amended to remove her and render her visa void. She would have to return to the States. Now don't misconstrue this. As bad as it sounds, there is a mutual control here. I don't mind her staying with me, that way she can see firsthand the changes I've made, while at the same time I have been able to limit what she does to me. Aside from getting into her car and leaving, there isn't much she can do. Bank account info for X is all in my name. She has no access to it. The only thing she really dictates in the house is the amount of time her and I spend together. My question leans more towards, is it such a bad thing to be the backup? And what I mean is, take my situation and so many others and understand the spouse is wanting time apart, or at the most getting some of their needs met somewhere else because I stopped, so they began looking somewhere else, or decided to not be married anymore. If you still love our spouse and now understand what happened and are working on bettering yourself in hopes of somehow working things out when your spouse does not seem to want to, is it really a bad thing to want to wait and see if they notice the change in you and realize maybe things can be worked on and maybe re-enjoy the marriage? I am not saying that's what I or anyone else is doing, but so many people are so quick to not put up with their BS they want to cut and run. If the WW isn't filing for D yet, maybe she doesn't want to, and maybe she is just figuring things out and needs time. By giving that to her, does that make you, me, a back burner because we don't want to lose our spouse? Again, just asking because so many people say cut and run. I am just curious. Tonight is the first night of us being physically separated. We have lived together throughout the past year of separation, but we've made an agreement where she'll stay at one of our friends' house during the night while I'm home, pick up and drop off the kids to school, and when I come home from work, she'll leave again. Don't know how long this will last, as I normally work night shift, and for the next month, I'm working days. She seemed kind of optimistic on how it might turn out, giving me the feeling she is going to use the time to think about us. One of the things we sometimes enjoy is our time apart. Being military, I get to leave home on an irregular basis. We have always both enjoyed the welcome home part and even do the old school snail mail once in a while. With us apart, even though she's only 2 miles away, it lessens the possibility of me saying something stupid, which is a good thing. Sometimes I go on about how I have changed and whatnot, and it leads to a fight of sorts and her just wanting to end it. But she recommended this to give us some cool down time. In all honesty, I've kind of already been there, so this separation is not anything new to me, except that she is not here, haha. The situation wasn't necessarily mine, but rather a question why it seems so frowned upon. Not every couple that separates has one of the two cheating, or immediately going out and dating, sleeping with someone. I know in my case that is not happening, and if it is, it's in the few hours a day when we are not together, and by that, I mean I sleep during the day as I work at night. While I sleep, I can hear her in the next room watching I Love Lucy. When I am at work, the majority of the time either our 4 or 8-year-old are in the room with her, sometimes both. For a separated couple, we spend a lot of time together. Also, sometimes waiting for your spouse to make up their mind doesn't necessarily mean you are putting your life on hold. I keep a busy life, work, play, and school. I have filled up my time with productive things, and to be quite honest right now, I don't want another relationship unless it's with my wife. Give me time to get over being dumped. If the D goes final, then I am sure I'll be ready to date again, but right now I have too much going on to meet someone new. So, I'm kind of at a loss for words. Wife spent almost 2 weeks at a family friend's house. And by family friend, I mean her friends, a married couple who owns a kids' restaurant up the street from our house. Both ours and their kids are school friends. Anyhow, I come home from work a week ago and she doesn't leave, which is what we agreed on. She would stay with the kids till I got home, then she'd leave for the night and come back in the morning as I left for work. I did not really mind, as I did miss her, but I didn't show it. I did ask her in the morning why she didn't leave. She told me she kind of thinks she was overstaying her welcome at her friend's, which I could easily understand, and she thought I was mad she didn't leave and started to pack. I told her it was okay, as she looked tired the night before. We kind of kept to ourselves over the weekend. Come all last week and this week she has been acting different towards me, bringing me lunch at work, even asking if I wanted to go to the golf course to grab lunch. Nothing much more beyond that. She did tell me about a friend of hers whom attends boot camp with, kind of like a high-intense workout, has a fancy in me, but didn't know she was talking to my wife. She thought my wife and I were just friends. My wife told her it was okay to talk to me and that the two of us were still kind of in a separation. I have had a problem in the past of reading in between the lines at stuff which wasn't there, and I am finding it hard to tell what all this means, if anything at all. Her demeanor towards me has changed since she stayed away for those 2 weeks, and I don't know what to make of it. I haven't pushed for anything, but at the same time, both our birthdays were this last week, and we have hit the 1-year mark of us being separated. So needless to say, emotions have been running wild, for me anyway. She did mention to me that she was trying to figure and sort things out in her head, which is a far cry from her usual "I'm done" remarks about our marriage. I am still keeping to myself and not be overbearing while letting her have space. Final update. So, it looks like people were right, along with some of the stuff she has been doing for me being perhaps out of guilt. For over the last month she has asked if I wanted to have lunch together from work, has kind of gone a little bit out of her way to do something nice for me. Last night I could hear her on the phone talking to some guy she claims she accidentally butt dialed at midnight. It has happened. Her mom used to butt dial my wife and my phone often when we lived back home. They talked for 3 hours and I listened into most of it without her knowing. In the morning I confronted her about it to clarify stuff I heard. She explained, and regardless of if I believed her or not, I decided to snoop through the laptop she's using, which I let her borrow after her older one kicked the bucket. Just when I was about to give up, meaning I didn't find anything real incriminating, giving me the false hope nothing is going on with anyone, I checked all her folders in her Gmail account. There were no emails sent but instead a note. I do not know if notes get sent out or what their purpose is, but it was about her being in love with another guy, one whom I think is the one in the picture I found who she claimed wasn't anyone. By the way, this guy hasn't been around for very long, so I don't know how she can talk about love. In the note she talks about begging him for another chance as it looks like he pushed her out and has stopped talking to her. Bottom line, this note she wrote to this guy or about him sounds like what I have done to try and win back my wife. For a while as I read it, I couldn't really tell what it was, as she used to write short stories before we met. She wrote one about our separation from last year but changed the names. Until the end, she talked about trying to work with him by being gone every other weekend for some girl named Emma. Now I do not know if this is this guy's daughter or perhaps wife. That is the only name in the note, so I cannot tell who the guy is yet. Because of my job, military, I am actually leaving home for about a week or so here tonight, and I'm torn on whether or not I should confront her on this or wait the week until I get home. By the way, this note was dated on the 18th of Jan, and we are now on the 25th of Feb, so I am trying to determine if this coincides with the month she moved out when I brought up her not being home the same time I am. She swears she's not seeing anyone right now, but in a Facebook message to a friend, about the same time of the message she and this guy she was seeing broke up. My suspicion is he is the same guy in the note and the picture I found. After that text and the dated note, there is no more mention of him anywhere. At the same time, I don't know how out of the picture he and my wife might be. All I want to do is scream at her, call her a coward, and finally tell her she is the most despicable person I have ever known. I already have found evidence, and she has copped to being with someone shortly after our split last year, so I could claim adultery if I really wanted to. Although, with this note of hers, the way she talks in it, it is pretty clear she's been with him too. Most people today don't talk about love or a future if you haven't slept with each other. I'm not hiding from that. I even accepted the first time and would have been able to let it go should we work on reconciliation. I have a WhatsApp conversation with the first guy from last year and it describes a bit, and she blatantly say because we had bonding, so I don't need any more proof. Pictures or catching her in the act would obviously be ideal, but truthfully, even now I am not ready for my marriage to end. One of the reasons I have been going away so often over the last few months is to try and get away from her and my feelings for a bit. One of the main reasons why I have not kicked her back to the States is because of the kids. With my job, it's near impossible for me to keep them here, and her leaving would mean taking the kids, and I would not be able to see them but for a few weeks a year for the next 4 years. Sadly, the crossroads at which I am standing are to either just stick with the current situation of her living with me and let things ride out and see what happens with her feelings towards me, or tell her she has to leave, which would inevitably mean her going back to the States. The latter also meaning I lose both of my kids until I return to the States following my current tour in the UK is complete, mid-2018. Both of us attended MC for about a month shortly after all of this started last year until the counselor we were seeing left, leaving us with having to start all over again with the new counselor, at which point we stopped. I have gone to a few group sessions by myself without her to see how other couples in similar situations resolve their conflicts. And often I leave thinking to myself, wow, our problems are nothing compared to these people, and they're making it. I am not out of the woods yet in the whole situation. I have yet to date anyone, and I do not plan to until things are long over. I just do not feel the want to. I have yet to confront her about this note of hers I found, for which I know she will be mad that I went snooping through her emails. But then again, if there weren't trust issues with her, I wouldn't have had the need to. I still do not know how I feel about the note in the first place. I mean, it sounds exactly like what I've been doing with her, asking for a second chance, wanting to better myself for both me and us. The whole time we have been separated, she has stated she doesn't want to be with anyone else, and seems pretty animated about it. But then I see this. There are no other mentions of the person she is referring to in this note, and I know for a fact right now she is not seeing anyone. So, do I just leave it alone and put it in my back pocket for now and let things go and see what happens? Or do I risk blowing everything up, like I know they will, by asking her, by the way, our 10th anniversary is this Friday, the 13th. Before all this happened, I already bought her a small gift, and I used to sketch. I penciled an old beauty portrait of sorts of her, for her. So here I am, about 3 months after I discovered the letter. I decided to sit on it for a while to see what might happen as things between us started to improve. I thought, why mess with it? Well, things blew up this past week. I discovered she opened a credit card, military star card, for which can only be used on a military base, but it is just the same as a normal card. Found a statement saying she has 2 payments past due, next payment next week, and the minimum amount due is roughly $550. My name is not attached to the card from what I can tell. Total bill, $7,000. Moving back to the letter, after discovering the card, I brought it up to her. She told me it was a guy who wanted to date my wife. I don't know if he knows her situation or not, and offered the spare bedroom when we decided to take a split back in January. I asked if she slept with him. She said no. He wanted to, but my STBX said they did not. She told me pretty much that he ended up kicking her out after a little over a week. I kind of laughed. I have not spoken with her for about 6 days and have no real need to soon. I guess the crossroads at which I now stand is, where do I go? At what point does one just give up? She throws me hints all the time that things could be different, better, but she does not act towards me on it. She tells me she needs to find herself because all she sees in me is the hurt still. We went and saw the Avengers 2 a few weeks ago. She and the kids like it. Me, not so much. It just did not impress me. Now, I still had a great time with my family, but she is hanging on and using the fact I didn't care for the movie to say the experience was now bad because I didn't appear to have fun. What does it matter if I liked the movie? I have made leaps and bounds in myself to being a better husband towards her, and just overall gaining better control of my actions. Yes, she did date a couple of guys during our 19-month separation, only one of which I can confirm she slept with. All 3 of them treated her like crap, but here I stayed, waiting for her, taking care of things and being there for her. She has not seen it, or she won't acknowledge she did. So where or when do I give up? Do I, for that matter? I am in no hurry to meet anyone else. My job and school takes up too much time to disappoint someone new by never having the free time to see them. I can send my wife back to the States, along with the kids, since it would be impossible to keep them here. As an example, first week of June, I am scheduled to deploy for the month. Who would watch my kids? If I send them back, that's 3 years before I get to spend any real time with my kids. And yes, 3 years where I would miss my wife regardless of the crap from the last several months. She appears to be in the phase of needing attention at the moment. Some of her Facebook messages to some of our friends make it seem like I'm making her life hard, leading them to offer kind words and support. She doesn't actually say anything bad, but she does avoid stating why things are bad. So now her friends scowl at me, and I only stand back and wish I could tell them to flip the page and read the other side of the story to why my wife is currently stressed out. I don't, because I'm sure if I did, her friends would be pissed with her and she'd really be alone. My comment: OP is the ultimate plan B. She realizes that he can be the ultimate plan B, and he will take it. This story is a lesson to those who stay around as plan B. You just get kicked around like a piece of furniture.